Good morning, everyone. If you please stand and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, good morning. It is October 20th, Monday. This is the Broadwater County Commissioners' Business Meeting. A little bit of housekeeping before we get started. We do follow Robert's Rules of Order. The purpose of this policy is to open Broadwater County public meetings to all county citizens. We realize we have a fiscal and fiduciary responsibility to conduct county business as efficiently as possible for all Broadwater County residents. Commission meetings are recorded and are on YouTube, so please state your name prior to any public comment. Any separate conversations need to be taken out into the hall. Any outbursts will not be tolerated. Any public comment will be given 3 minutes initially to speak, and all comments should be directed to the board chairman. So with that, do we have? Oh, okay. Thanks, Ann. With that, do we have any public comment this morning? Public comment, John.
My name is John Wright, and I'm going to take my 3 minutes in the aspect of the commissioner, especially you, Laura, to overruling our constitutional rights. As per your oath of office, you swore to God Almighty to uphold His laws, and our laws are inalienable rights of life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, and right to own property. Secondly, under God, with hand to the heavens, you swore to uphold the Constitution of the United States. And in that oath, you swore to uphold the Constitution first and foremost over all other laws, domestic and foreign. Parliamentary law is a foreign law. And you're overruling our constitutional rights by jamming this down our throat. It's illegal, unconstitutional, and I place you under citizen's arrest right now. I want a response.
All right, for those of you who are new, we generally take public comment and then answer all of them at the end. Is there any other public comment? Public comment? Public comment. All right. John, I don't think your comments warrant any response. Robert's Rules of Order is not unconstitutional. As far as citizen's arrest, I think that's ridiculous, but it is about the 12th time. And I think all three of us have followed our oaths of office. So, with that, if you want to make any calls, please step out into the hall. All right. Next thing on the agenda is Montana Minute. What this is, for those of you who are new, is just a chance to regroup and state something positive about our state or our community. So with that, Franklin, do you have anything positive to say?
Kind of a stuck record, but I tell you what, this is good fall weather. I think probably a little third cutting and a few potatoes. Otherwise, I think harvest should be well under control.
Elaine?
I second what he said.
My name is John Wright.
As a
I'm
rancher?
the county commissioner.
This has been
Our
great.
county attorney, county commissioner, Laura Ofer.
Then also, I would like to say hats off to the high school football team. They have been on a run to this honoring everybody 60-0. And so I just have to say hats off to the football team and their coaches.
Excellent. I would also like to kudo the school football team. Excellent, excellent. Also, I went to an Agency on Aging meeting under Rocky this week, and we had some reverted grant funds. What we do is a 6-county regional board, and we write grants to fund senior services, senior citizen meals, Meals on Wheels, that kind of thing. And we had a grant that was given out, and this happens very often, there's reverted funds that come back. So we're able to give back about $71,000 to our meal sites in the 6 counties. So it was an excellent meeting for that reason. There will also be a meeting tomorrow at 1 o'clock at the senior center. For anyone who has any issues, questions, wants to be heard on what they would like to see as a vision and goal for Rocky concerning Broadwater County tomorrow, 1 o'clock at the senior center. So with that, any Montana minutes from the audience? All right. I'm going to also give anyone a chance to step back. This question was asked earlier, and just in case anybody else has the same questions. Public comment of any public meeting under Robert's Rules of Order is for anyone to discuss any topic they like. We give 3 minutes initially. If you have something that's relevant, we certainly are extremely lenient and will continue to give you time. If you wish to speak on any of the subjects on the agenda as they come up, we will certainly allow you to be heard, call you by name, and you put your hand up. But public comment is the time to speak on anything. Throughout the rest of the agenda, it's for agenda items. So any questions on that and any comments? Okay, anyone want to go back to public comment? Okay, with that then, we have minutes. We're 10 minutes early for our first appointment, so we have minutes from October 14, 2014, and those were emailed out to us last week. And 15, thank you.
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes of the 14th and 15th of October.
One clarification, we do need to have Franklin make the motion for the 15th because you weren't here.
That's right.
So if you'd like to have it stand for just the 14th.
I'll do the 14th.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes of October 14. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the 15th.
I'll second that motion.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes of October 15. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Do you want me to leave you the copy for that purpose?
Excuse me.
You bet.
Mr. Wright, I presume?
Yes.
Trustee Anderson?
I'm good.
Good.
I've just citizenry placed our Laura Olbert under arrest for violating our constitutional rights by implementing foreign laws. And I was welcomely abused by no comment or you're crazy. And I have the data right here to prove how guilty she is. Her oath, her indictments in the United States Court of Appeals, Washington, D.C., District of Columbia, for constitutional violations, oath of office. And there it is. Which one is it? I want her placed under arrest, and I will do all the data to conform it. She is guilty as charged. There's a whole witness of people here that just witnessed it, and has from on and on. Now, ordinarily, she calls you on me, but ordinarily it comes to jailers. Now, you're here, and I want her arrested, and I have that authority.
Want to talk to me about out here, so they can continue with the meeting? Thank you.
All right, we're a couple minutes early, so we will start with mail. Also, for those of you who are new, this is a weekly thing. We do this every single Monday, almost without fail. All right, so first we have the Central Service Area Authority. This is addressed to the Commissioners, Sheriff Ludwig, Mental Health Local Advisory Committee. And this is a request for Andrea Lauer of the CSAA president to attend the next Mental Health Advisory meeting on Friday, October 24. For us to attend, actually, her meeting at the Colonial, or at their building on Colonial Drive in Helena on Friday from 10 to 3. So that is an invitation. With the new mental health initiative, with our new steps in mental health, which I'll update you guys on, this would be a good thing for the full commission to attend if you guys are free. Right, right. I can send you a map.
You can't send me a map.
I can mail it to you, snail mail. We have some neat advances in mental health for Broadwater County right now. We have a full-time therapist who is here in the county. She will also service the surrounding area, but she is located here in Broadwater County. We couldn't find a place for her, so she and I talked, and she is actually in our commissioner's office, and she's going to be using the meeting room, the old commissioner's meeting room, to see clients. It's private. It has nice thick cement walls so nobody can hear, so privacy rights are protected. Unless you guys have any issues, I did send an email to this effect. This is potentially short-term, maybe long-term, depending on how it works out. So we do have mental health services, and they're in the basement right now.
That's great.
Yeah, I think so too. So, any issues, Franklin? All right. Any issues from anyone here on this, on the mental health subject? Okay, all right. Next we have from the, actually, I'm gonna go ahead and get into our first appointment. It is 10:15. We don't have Nicole Brown yet. You know what? We're gonna go ahead and do mail till Nicole gets here, and then we'll start at 10:15. So, what we have is from the Department of Fish, Wildlife, and Parks of the state of Montana. This is a notice of decision on a proposed rule action pertaining to wolf management stamps. And we've gotten information on that before. This is just paperwork to follow up. Next, we have a letter from some citizens, William and Ruby Darwin. And what happened is I'm going to read portions of their letter. It's dated October 10. Dear Commissioners, we recently constructed a house at the above referenced location, northwest of Three Forks. The county approved the location of the well. However, due to an error and several events, the well was drilled in the common area, which is owned by the developer of the subdivision. They go on to say, our contractor and I looked for the property survey markers. We used the map provided to us by our realtor. The lots in the subdivision have steel posts with lot numbers. The contractor and I went with what we could locate according to the layout of the land. The next paragraph says, after the well was drilled, the foundation was completed, the house was completed, a surveyor came. No one knows who he was. The surveyor informed us the well was in the wrong location. After several months of conferences with the Broadwater County Sanitation, our realtor and the developer of the subdivision, it was determined the well was not on our property. We need to purchase property that is currently designated common area to relocate our well. Map is attached that shows the new property line. I brought that forward just because it was addressed to us with that request, but I think we should get Nicole, the county land use planner, and Julie, the sanitation department head, involved, as this really is their area of expertise, unless you guys have opposition to that or other ideas.
Madam Chair,
Yes, sir.
how much land would be involved in the exchange if they were to move the boundaries to accommodate the well?
Good question. I'll give you an answer here in just a second.
Okay, and secondly, I was once involved in something similar to this, and it went to court. The judge's ruling was the realtor does not have to show you the lot lines, but if he does, they have to be correct. And I won that case.
All right. All right, with any of these, of course, as you well know, it's always nice when it can be resolved in a way that's constructive for everybody. Hopefully we can help with this, with planning and with the sanitation department. But I think at this point we just need to gather some information. Can you see how much property there, Franklin, for
Yeah, it isn't very much. It starts off from 0 to, okay, I guess it's a 45-foot common area in there, so it looks like the well's almost, the mill's about 30 feet. So whatever the width of this lot is, it'd start off from 0 to about 30 feet and an angle across this common area. So there isn't much ground at all involved. And I don't know what this common area was supposed to be for, it's for roadway or it doesn't say. But they have a dotted line there with boundary change. I don't know if you saw that.
I did.
It isn't very much, but it's
No.
still have to be something that have to be. Yeah, those things, yeah.
All right, good timing, that's all the mail as far as that goes. So, next on the agenda is Nicole Brown Planning, Ron Elliott Planning Board update. Come on up, you
Good
guys.
morning.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks for having us. So this meeting today is precipitated on our previous planning board meeting at which the commission is present and discussed a quarterly, maybe semi-monthly meeting. So just basically we will come and we'll update you on planning board what's going on. So, I sure will.
Thanks.
I'm gonna let Ron speak today because he has prepared a great report.
Thank you.
Through communication, getting spoken with other planning board members and myself, so.
This is a report to the commissioners on the October 8th planning board meeting. I'll just kind of try to paraphrase this. I'm not a real fluent public speaker, so at the commencement of the meeting, Planner Nicole Brown informed members of the planning board that she's received a letter of resignation from Linda Cousineau. With Linda's resignation, the board consists of 5 members. The 5-member board does conform and meet MCA 76-1-211. State and county planning boards consist of not less than 5 members appointed to the Board of County Commissioners. Your current active planning board members now serving are Herb Oliver, President, Ron Elliott, Vice President, along with Chuck Harvey and Joe Piazza and Jenny Schauber. Any additional appointments or changes to the current number of members will be at the discretion of the Board of County Commissioners. Regarding old business, there was some discussion of the letter provided to county commissioners addressing a request for the planning board's input and recommendations relating to the Supreme Court Heidecker ruling of 2013 and potential refunds of taxes assessed between 2009 to 2013 related to and potentially mandated by that Heidecker ruling. As the letter was fully vetted and approved by all members of the planning board prior to the delivery to the county commissioners, further discussion centered on what actions the planning board wished to exercise from this point forward. It was the consensus of the board to provide a liaison to the Board of County Commissioners regarding further meetings and actions related to this issue if the county commissioners so wished. It was the consensus of the board to have Ron Elliott and Planner Nicole Brown fulfill and share these responsibilities should the need be identified by the county commissioners. New business consisted of initial discussion related to a newly submitted application for a minor subdivision review. The planning board will be reviewing and making determinations and written recommendations to the county commissioners regarding this application in the future. Items for discussion in the meeting included the potential need for review and possible modification of Chapter 2, subsections C and D of the subdivision regulations. It was agreed by the members to review these subsections and any possible identification of areas in need of clarification relating to and be prepared to discuss any areas of concerns that may need to be addressed. A hard copy of the capital improvement plan, Broadwater County, City of Townsend, prepared by WWC Engineering in June of 2011, was distributed to each planning board member in attendance. There was discussion regarding this document, and a number of questions were raised by some planning board members, as this was the first opportunity to read, review, and discuss the CIP. As several of the board members felt additional time was needed to review and study the CIP document prior to any discussion centered around the determinations identified in the plan, a consensus of the board was that each member should study and review the document prior to the next planning board meeting and revisit this item for further discussion at that time. We appreciate the opportunity to report to the governing body of discussions and actions taken by the Broadwater County Planning Board at the October 8th, 2014 meeting, and believe the Planning Board is fully engaged with items identified and presented to the Planning Board as planning concerns within Broadwater County. Please contact Planner Nicole Brown or myself with any additional concerns you may have for the Planning Board now or in the future. Respectfully submitted, Ronald E. Elliott, on behalf of the Broadwater County Planning Board.
Thank you, that's excellent. What a great start.
Yes.
Yeah,
And so our hope is, if you don't mind me saying, from the last planning board meeting is to meet quarterly. Because our planning board has not been as active as we were in previous years, we're not meeting monthly, we're simply meeting quarterly as required by MCA. So it would serve no purpose, I would think, for a planning board member to be here every month or myself to be here every month to say, this is what they're doing, because a lot of my work is not necessarily planning board work. And so if that's okay with the commission, that's the way we'd like to proceed. And then we would like to have it on a rotating schedule so that you're gonna see a new face here every time, if it works for their schedule.
I think it's a great idea.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah.
And so we'll just give you a rundown of the planning board meetings and what we're doing.
Sounds great.
Okay.
Yeah. Any questions of these guys?
Thank you for your time.
And
Actually-
I guess one more thing too, if you don't mind me saying, noting on this, the Heidecker case, part of that discussion. Is it okay with the board if Ron Elliott, since he has been in contact with Don White at Department of Revenue, if he is the person, along with myself, that sits in on these meetings regarding these payment of subdivision, or refund of taxes, I guess you would say, and the further discussions we're gonna be having?
And we'll be having a meeting with Susan Swimley, a working meeting next Wednesday.
The 29th at 10 a.m. I have yet to track her down. I'm semi-stalking her.
Very good, very good.
But I have been penciled in on her calendar. We have been penciled in on her calendar for her to be here at 10 a.m. for 2 hours on the 29th. And the reason for contacting Susan Swimley, Mako land use attorney, she's been all over the state of Montana. I'm certain we're not the only county that's dealing with this. She's got some expertise, experience, legal knowledge. So get us pointed in a good direction of our next steps.
And
But I would like Ron to be there because he has been in close contact with Department of Revenue. That letter that you received, that was all him, all of his research, so definitely an asset to that group discussion.
Makes sense.
you guys good with that?
Fine with me.
All right. And just to reiterate, Susan Swimley and Tara Depew, the county land use planners for the state under Mako, are our resources, and their fees are paid by Mako, not by the county. So we're not hiring a new attorney to come in and work with us on this. They're already paid, we're just getting somebody's expertise in this particular field. And we will have Carla there as well.
Great.
So anyone else that we need there as part of the working meeting, we can make sure are there.
And once I get that confirmation from Susan that she will absolutely be here, I will send out an email to all folks that will be sitting at the table, just so that we can all permanently put it on our calendar.
Perfect. So anything else on the Heidecker case from you guys? All right, I had a quick question for you. The growth policy, I know you're working on that. What's your projection and where are we at with that at this point? Any ideas?
We've spoke about it at several planning board meetings, again, meeting quarterly. It's not something we really delved into, but I know it's now at the top of our list, aside from this new subdivision that we're reviewing, but I anticipate us being ready to adopt it by 2015. I don't think there's any reason why that wouldn't be done.
Yeah.
Okay,
So next year, sometime, I can anticipate that it would be more than a year, as in October 2015. I'm hopeful that we could have it done sooner than that, but just not knowing what we're going to have before us. It is a working document, it is something that we need to have, that the county needs to have this document. It's just not really been a priority for the
planning board, but we do know we need to be working on it. Our subdivision regulations obviously took precedent, and then now growth policy is a move from the top, so.
All right, excellent. And then my other question was the rent and lease. How's that looking?
That,
Any
I need
projections
to,
on
I need
that?
to bring that to you. I'm hopeful I can have it before you, before the end of the year.
All right,
I have to have it, I will have it to you before the end of this year, before 2014 is over.
okay, cool.
It's just something, wordsmithing that I just need a little bit of guidance on.
Okay, all right. All right, any further questions from you guys?
Not for me.
All right, I did see a hand. Tim, was that you?
I was earlier, I was asking, gonna ask for Nicole to speak up, because we can't hear Nicole when she's talking.
Sorry.
And we can't hear either, so we're wondering, it would be nice if there would be a speaker or something, because a lot of us are older, and we can't hear the soft-spoken ladies.
Sure, sure. I'll try and remind people to speak up.
Please.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, well, thank you very
Thank
much,
you.
you guys. And Ron, thank you for all the work you've done. That letter was excellent.
Good.
Yeah, yeah, the previous one and the update, the previous one was,
Regarding the Heidecker case.
yeah, well done. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
All right. We are at 10:30. Lee Alt, MDT, discuss Highway 287 speed limit at Winston. Is Lee here? I don't see Lee yet. All right. We will go ahead and dive into mail for a few more minutes, or signature items. And then as soon as he gets here, we'll go ahead and I have a couple of quick claims. If you could sign these when we get a chance, we'll add them to the pile.
On DIS, did they get that worked out?
Mm-hmm. They did. Things may be a little haphazard because of the delay. They were ready to take care of everything in October, but because of the delay from that department, they will be coming back in December. So things are gonna be a little haphazard for 2 months, but they're frustrated, but it really wasn't their fault. Thank you. All right, we had last week the Black Mountain changeover. This is kind of managerial, but the county has a programming company and system that we do our budgeting and all the little pieces that go along with that, treasury, finances, accounting, all of it. In the past, we've used a company called Tyler or CSA. We are switching over to a company called Black Mountain. Black Mountain is used by most of the other counties in the state. It's used by most of the schools, most of the cities, and so we're just kind of following the trend. And we had them here last week, and everybody who went through the training with them responded that it is going to streamline their work, it's going to help them get things done faster, and it's much more simple. One of the issues we have with CSA is in the budget, it switches negatives and positives. So when you look at the first iteration of the budget, all the income is shown as a negative, and all the expenses are shown as a positive. So that's just one of those things that after years you get used to, but it's very confusing for the public. You can easily make mistakes. So that will be something that we will not have under Black Mountain. So we have different looking sheets. This is payroll. And the payroll is in the amount of $147,937.21, $957.21, and this is for October 15, 2014. Yes. 147,957.21.
Thank you.
You bet.
I'll make a motion then that we approve claims, $147,957.21.
I'll say it.
And friendly amendment, this is for payroll
What did I say?
claims,
Hmm.
which is all right.
Irish, you take me for what I mean, not what I say.
Oh, those in favor of paying payroll in the amount of $147,957.21, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
Can I see the one?
Yeah, yeah, it's a lot easier to read too, although the printing is pretty small. And then what we also have is the approved claims, or are the approved claims that we approved last week and the week before in the amount of $89,911.85. Thank you.
I'll make a motion for approved claims. I didn't write down the amount. You just mentioned it.
I'll second the motion.
It's been moved and seconded to pay the approved claims in the amount of $89,911.85. All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
So we don't all have to sign it now?
Oh, thank you. Yes, we do. I was just following the payroll habit. I still don't see Lee. Hey, Nicole, I didn't send out any kind of a reminder to him, did you?
I spoke with him on the phone and via email.
Okay, all right.
So no, I guess I didn't remind him, as in last week, but when this was scheduled 2 weeks ago, via email, it sent him the date and time, and then he also called me to find out where exactly it was being held at, so.
Okay, all right, very good. Only 5 minutes, so.
Okay. Would you like me to run down and call him?
Would you mind terribly? Thanks, Nicole. While she's doing that, just a quick update. Tomorrow, there's 2 things going on. One is the Rocky, it's a forum, traveling forum that they're doing here at 1 o'clock on senior issues. And the other one is the Cabin Gulch tour with Forest Service and RY Timber. So it would be nice if we could all 3 do both, but I just don't know if that's a possibility. You guys have a preference on, are you guys able to go to either one? And if so, do you have a
I
preference
think
on
it was the Cabin
which?
Gulch, wasn't it? They started a tour there at the silos and then meet at the Forest Service to go up that race trip.
There's 3 things. Starts with the Starts with silos, you're right, first thing, and then we'll go up to Cabin Gulch, and then there's a celebration at Jenkins. All 3 very different, but they're all happening on the same day.
What time does that one start?
I think we are at 8:45 at the silos. I'll have to double check my email.
9:30 at the Forest Service building.
And what was the other one?
The other one's at 1 o'clock, and that's at the senior center, and they will be there at noon for lunch as well. I don't know that we can fit all of that in.
Well, it must be a completely different change. The one I got, the Forest Service, and then was that Rayford deal, and then, they were meeting at the bunkhouse for lunch, going up to Jenkinsville. So there's been a complete change.
No, Franklin, there's something else going on there too. The Senior Center Forum, that's a different subject, that's a different meeting, it just happens to be on the same day. So my question is, knowing that there are these two separate events tomorrow, it would be nice if the commission can split. Somebody does the Senior Center Forum and somebody does the tours. It would be nice if we could all do both, but I don't know how we can do that with the way the times have laid out. So that's my question.
I'd be glad to do the senior center.
Okay, that would be great if you could.
I'm afraid that the cabin culture would be too much walking, and my knees won't do it.
And I've been to the forum, we had it on Friday with the Agency on Aging Board. So if you could, that'd be great. And then Franklin, you're
I'm
planning on going?
with the cabin golf.
Okay, all right, I will let
Later in the
Charles
afternoon, I
know.
have an appointment, so I can't make anything else.
All right. Well, hello,
Hi.
Lee. Good
How
to
are
see
ya?
ya. Good, how are you doing?
Good, good.
Good. Would you like to come and sit at the table? Would you like to stay?
Well, it doesn't matter to us.
Okay, all right. Lee Alt, MDT, discuss Highway 287 speed limit at Winston. What we've done, Lee, is I've been in contact with you, a couple messages and email. And we've heard from some of our citizens regarding that stretch of the highway in front of Winston. We've gotten some video of an accident there. We had a public meeting, and we have a lot of those citizens here today. And basically what they want to do is just make sure that you guys hear them and their concerns and firsthand from them on why this is important to their community.
Okay, and I brought Danielle Bollington with me. She's a state traffic engineer, so we can hopefully answer any of the questions you folks have if you wanna. Go ahead and, where are we at
All right.
with questions?
Danielle, can you spell your last name for us for the minutes?
Yeah, it's Bolan.
And then what we will do, this could very well turn into a very emotional issue because this is about people's homes,
Mhm.
safety of their children. So what I'm gonna ask is that questions per Robert's Rules of Order be directed to the chair, and that we make sure that hands are raised so that only one person hears it or speaks at a time, so everyone can hear what they have to say, and maintain civility so that we can work together on this and come to hopefully some kind of a resolution that works for everybody. So with that, I think I'll open it up to you folks who live in the Winston area to speak first. Yes, sir.
My name's Steve Miller, I live in Winston. I've got 59 signatures from the people in Winston about this speed change. I was gonna talk to you about the fact that Wiley Drive and Canyon Ferry Road, you got the cement plant and all that right there, it's 45 miles an hour. Elliston is 45 miles an hour. It used to be higher. When I was a kid, they went through and they had a highway patrolman sitting there when they first put it up, and it was known as a speed trap. And the speed trap was good, because you know what, after a while people slowed down. We can go from Elliston, we can go to East Helena. In East Helena, it's 45 miles an hour going through there. They have probably about the same traffic that we have in Winston. It's a 4-lane highway, and evidently it's got to be 45 miles an hour. You come on down the road, the state just did all kinds of work right by Pole Creek, the other side of Pole Creek. Multi-million-dollar project for 2 county roads that handle maybe 20 cars. But there is a bus turnaround there, which is an excellent deal. Might I add, that bus that turns around goes down, stops right by the Winston store in the Big Bull Bar. When they get there, they're stopping in 70 and 75 mile an hour cars and letting little kids off and run around. And the state's idea of fixing this problem was to put up 2 flashing lights that occasionally work, warning of a crosswalk. How would you like to put your kids out on that crosswalk? I wouldn't. You say that you can't slow the cars down because it's going to cause traffic jams and all that. Might I add, the signs that you put up, the flashing lights, give you 700 feet. 700 feet to slow down and be prudent for that crosswalk. I defy you to go there at 7:30 in the morning or about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, walk up on the crosswalk, make sure they see you and walk out and see what happens. You're going to get run over. Someone's going to die. What is it going to take before the state will honestly look and figure out that they've got to do something there? In 1965, my dad and I and a bunch of us went to the fishing game. We had 6,500 signatures for the getting rid of doe season in two deer areas. We went into the director, who was Frank Dunkel at the time. We showed him those things. He looked up and says, public opinion is not a factor in our decisions. I really wonder about that myself. You know what? Public opinion is not a factor in your decisions either. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Lee, could you remind folks of what you guys do, what your process is, so that we have as much information on the table for everybody to work with? I think what we want to do is make sure that you understand where these folks are coming from, that is safety, and they need to understand where you guys are coming from and where your process is. This isn't personal towards you guys, and it isn't personal against Winston from NTT, so I want to make sure that's out there.
We understand that speed limits are always an emotional issue, no matter where it's at, here, Dillon, Anaconda, anywhere, it's always an emotional issue. We're tasked, basically the way the speed limit operation goes in the state of Montana, we can't arbitrarily change the speed limit in the first place. We don't, the highway department does not have the authority to set speed limits. The only entity that can really set a speed limit is the highway commission. What they do is we need to draft an engineering study for them to go off of. So we have a request from the local governing agency, the county commissioners, to do an engineering and speed zone study, and we look at the speeds, the crash data, everything else that's going on down there. We make our engineering recommendation to the commissioner. The commissioners then either agree with it and send us a letter of concurrence, or they disagree with it, like we're doing today, putting together some comments, and all of these comments and everything go into the Transportation Commission for them to make the final decision on what the speed limit's gonna be. So we can't arbitrarily go out and, just because guys say, we want that speed limit 25 miles an hour, we can't do it. By law, state law, we cannot do it. We have to get a request from the commissioners, do an engineering study, present it to the Transportation Commission along with you folks as comments. And then that's how the speed limit is finally set. Can I leave anything else?
Yeah, and I might just add in on, we do have state law. There's the statutory speed limits that we have out there, which is the 70 miles on the 2-lane highways, 75 on the interstate, and with the truck speed limits. In urban areas, there is the 25-mile-an-hour statutory speed limit that is set by the legislature. Any other speed limit outside of those statutory speed limits is set as a special speed zone by the Transportation Commission on, for the state, on state maintained routes is set by the Transportation Commission. Again, for local roadways that are under the jurisdiction of cities or counties, they still need to follow the manual for traffic control devices and still take a look at those engineering studies, but they have the authority on their local roadways. So the Transportation Commission has the authority on the federal aid routes, on the routes that are maintained by the state of Montana. Those special speed limits, like Lee was saying, they are the only ones that have the authority to change those speed limits, but they have to base their decision, they have to take into account the engineering study when they are looking at setting those speed limits. So just to let people know how speed limits are set across the state and the difference between statutory speed limits and special speed limits that we have.
Yeah, the
So-
legislature set the 70-mile-an-hour speed limit for primaries and secondary roads. We get requests from local governing agencies to set the special speed limit. And the Transportation Commission is the only one that can do that. That's their authority.
So based on what you might hear today, is there an opportunity that you guys could maybe team with us, Broadwater County and the folks of Winston, to approach the Transportation Commission together?
Well,
To actually,
what happens is our engineering study will remain, and that's the engineering study, that we won't change the engineering study. What will happen is, the process that happens is we presented that study to the county commissioners. What we will take with going forward to the Transportation Commission is the engineering study, and then also what the county, taking into account the county's comments, and that's typically they look at the local government and the county officials. That doesn't mean that they won't take other public comments also into consideration, because we do receive those, and we do take those forward to the Transportation Commission. And all that is presented to the Transportation Commission for them to come up with their final decision. The engineering study is based on engineering, the engineering. We can't go out and just change engineering to say whatever, public opinion is, because it's based on the engineering. So the engineering study's gonna stand, but that does not mean that there's not other factors that the Transportation Commission can take into account.
Yeah, you guys can gather whatever you want for comments, get them into us. That's what this basically 60-day period is get all the comments you want to get together, get them into us, and they will go into the commission also.
okay, so, one thing I just wanna make sure is out there is, we're not asking you to change an engineering study. We know that
No.
that's based on the
Right.
numbers that you saw when you did your study. What we are asking is that you do take into account the public's firsthand experience in that area.
That's what this
So-
comment period is for.
This all has to go through you guys, and then you will take that to the commission. Will you advise us when that is, so that we can advocate for our own
Absolutely.
communities? Okay,
Yeah, I'll get you a heads up on when the commission, what commission meeting it's gonna be heard at.
okay.
So you guys can, if you wanna go in and talk to it.
Now, one point of clarification, and it is in the report, is there is also the school zone speed limit that is in state law, that can be invoked in areas around schools, or here we have identified this as a school crosswalk. The school zone speed limit, and this is in state law, you can take the 85th percentile speed and take 80% of that 85th percentile speed and invoke a special school zone speed limit. In this area, because the 85th percentile speeds are right around 70, we can get that down to 55 and invoke the special school zone speed limit during those school crossing periods at this location. So that is in state law. We do not have to go to the Transportation Commission to invoke that at this location because of the identified school crosswalk there. That is something that we just need a resolution passed by the county commissioners that you guys want to invoke that, and then that can be signed accordingly to that, and that is in state law.
And we can perhaps readdress that today, but it was brought out at our meeting in Winston that the folks did not want that because of the additional hazard that it posed. And what their arguments were, and I'll let you guys speak to this too, but their arguments were is tourists or people traveling through who don't know this area are not gonna know that there's a certain time frame each day in which people are supposed to slow down. You know, you go into Winston, you turn the corner, and you're in Winston, or you come off the hill and you're in Winston. There's really not a lot of visibility that tells you you're coming into a community, and to just have a short time in which you slow down is really creating more of a hazard for times other than those, was the arguments. But yes, sir, please give us your comments.
Yeah, I'm Alan Brewer, and I was understanding, if I get this right, that the test was done in the wintertime on that road, which if you go in the summertime, I'm betting the transportation load is probably at least twofold. Do they consider that in their,
You know, I don't.
We
No,
do
we're
have
not-
traffic numbers for the highway
Yeah.
that would be part of our evidence
Sure.
for the commission, and we will be. Well, we already have that.
And we would not do this without having bare and dry conditions. The road would be bare and dry when we did this study. Winter, summer, or we take into account the roadway conditions. And I don't think this was done in the winter.
well, it was done
I was thinking like in August. maybe.
not in the summer, I
It was
think.
done during the spring.
It was done
wanted-
after school started, for
We
sure.
wanted to capture the
Yeah.
school crosswalk and the school kids, so we had to do it either in the spring or the fall. Let me
Yeah.
look through my file and let you know the exact date that we did do that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other comments? Yes, sir.
Madam Chair, my name is John Gilbert. I live at number 9 Muffley Lane in Winston, and I'm relatively new to the location. Townsend's a beautiful community, really enjoy it. But I would like to comment just saying, to try to get onto that highway, to go into Helena, or come into Townsend, or cross over to get our mail, is absolutely treacherous. You gotta have a rubberneck to just keep watching that traffic go by. And I'm sure there's a mechanism to address this. Like I say, we have the state people here, and I'm sure that the state would want to work for citizens and make us safe and make sure that there's no loss of life. But I wanted to make that comment because it is, to go to the landfill, it's just nerve-wracking to get onto that highway because this day and age, everybody's in such a hurry. They're driving 75 to 80 miles an hour, you know, and you're not going to stop at 100 feet, you know, when you're pulling out onto a highway with traffic going that fast. So I hope some consideration will be given to this. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other comments? Cassie?
My name is Cassie Cooper, and I don't know if you guys know who I am, but I was hit there in January by a couple of kids that were going 65, 70. I don't know if someone needs to be killed there before we get that speed limit change, but I can guarantee you that this isn't the last time that someone will get hit right there. We have a new coffee kiosk that just is going to open on Wednesday, and it scares me to death. I think it's great that we've added that to our community, but the traffic that is gonna slow down there all day long, they're gonna be open from 6 a.m. to 4 p.m. adds another concern for me as the bar manager. We have the traffic that comes in every day anyway, and it's super, super busy. We are extremely busy. Alan gets the people at his store, but with that coffee kiosk, I am scared to death of what is gonna happen there with those people that are gonna slow down, trying to get their coffee, and what is gonna happen. So we have videos that the bar does catch. We caught the last accident that was a couple of weeks ago from somebody crossing over, trying to get to the other side, and that car was probably going 65, 70 as well, and it wasn't necessarily their fault. It just is a bad spot. So if it were my choice, I would say we at least need to get that down to 55. Being hit at a dead stop by someone going 65, 70, I can't even believe that I'm standing here talking to you guys today. So I would appreciate that consideration too.
Well, and as Aunt Danielle just mentioned, we could get down to the 55 when kids are crossing
It
without
didn't do
having
me
to go
any
to
good
the
that
commission.
day. It was 3:30 in the afternoon, and it wasn't a school day, so, you know, it just depends on what you're looking at with that spectrum of time. Our busiest time of day is 6:30, 7 o'clock at night, and I can guarantee you that we cook at least 100 meals between 6 and 8 o'clock. So if that tells you anything, there's at least 100 people that come through there in 2 hours.
Yes, sir.
Something that I think you guys need to think about, and I don't believe we are. Dropping it occasionally to 45 isn't gonna work. Dropping it occasionally to 55 is not gonna work. You've got to do it every single day. That's why they had the highway patrol in Elliston. That's why they had the cops in East Helena and the whole bit. It's got to be every single day so that people know that if they go through there at 70 miles an hour, they're gonna get nailed, and that will slow them down. But that will be the only thing that's gonna slow them down, is to get nailed. The highway patrol will do their job. They'll do a fine job. So will the county. They do a fine job. But the problem is that they need a little bit of some tools to work with. They need to regulate people at 70 miles an hour is ludicrous. It's not gonna do anything. We almost lost Cassie. She almost died on this thing. And we had approached the state prior to that about this speed limit. We've approached them several times about this speed limit. And now, quite honestly, it sounds like we're passing the buck again.
Nope.
To a different department.
No, we're just trying to explain to you what has to be done to change the speed limit. We can't, like I say, Danielle, myself, we cannot arbitrarily go out on the road and change a speed limit. Any more than we can go out when requested by the commissioners, arbitrarily go out and do an engineering study. We need the request from these folks to do it. So we're acting within our statutory duties, and we're taking the comments that you guys have that we can't act on, to the commission along with this study for them to make their decision. So it's based on you guys' comments too, not just our engineering study.
Has the decision been made?
No.
Not yet, no.
No.
It hasn't been on the commission agenda yet.
Okay, then I back off. I thought it was a done deal.
No,
No,
absolutely
it's in the
not.
process.
And this is why we try to have these meetings after we come up with an engineering study, is so we can get the input from you folks and from the local governing agency before the decision's made.
Well, I believe that's why we had those meetings. This has been going on for a long time. For the last 2 years, there's been meetings on this. What happened to that stuff?
It's all in here. The study.
But nothing's been done. If they have to go to this highway commission, why wasn't that already done?
Well, because we haven't got comments back from you guys on what you want, what.
We have done the study, we submitted that study to the county
Correct.
commissioners. We need the comments back from the
Comments
county
back.
commissioners before we will take that to the
And
transportation
It
commission.
appears to me you guys are getting a lot of comments today. Write them down, record them, whatever you need to do, and get them to us so we can get them in, so we can get this done.
That's the step in the
Before you guys
process.
leave today, we have our county planner, who's also the community developer, who has been point on this. She's been collecting the firsthand accounts. She's got a petition that's not ripped that we will submit to you today. And before you folks leave today, the whole package will be going with you. And then we are going to work through Nicole to make sure that we have all the folks in Winston, as well as the full commission, at that transportation commission meeting whenever it's scheduled.
You bet. We'll let you know, we'll give you plenty of advance notice on when it's gonna go, so.
The thing that we need to move this forward is the comments from the county.
Yeah.
The commission will not act on any speed zone study until they know where the county stands, and they have those comments from the county commissioners. That has just been something that we have developed in our processes, that is just our standard operating procedure. And they want to make sure that they have those comments from the county before they act on any change in any speed limit. So that's where we're at in the process. That's why it has not gone to the Transportation Commission yet. But as soon as we get that, once we have those in, we can get it to the next Transportation Commission meeting. Is not going to be until January. We have one at the end of the month, but the agenda items were already we're past due for the agenda items for the one this month. So their next meeting will be in, I do believe, in January 2015.
Okay.
If we get your comments in fairly soon, we can get them on that agenda.
I think that's required.
Mhm.
I think one of the things that we didn't get from our previous meeting or from any of our conversations on the phone is that was a step. I think a lot of us, the folks in Winston as well as the commission, thought that it was up to you guys. So in your processes, I would request that be a little bit more clear for those of us who don't have the experience of doing this, to fill in that blank for us. so that we can be better partners with you. Nicole?
Yes, ma'am. First of all, I want to thank you folks for coming here today. Everyone, in fact, the citizens and MDT representatives. Just a few points that I want to bring up. Your study was done March 26th and 27th of 2014. So I think that Mr. Brewer is correct that you may notice a bit of a difference in the June, July, August months. So I'm wondering also if through this process, it would be beneficial to the county, and I'd like to know from you if we did invoke that special school zone speed limit now. My thought process for this would be maybe to get some folks used to that there's something going on in Winston, that, you know, there's a speed issue going on in Winston. A lot of those drivers on there are repetitive drivers, you know, folks traveling to Helena for work from Bozeman, and vice versa the other way. So would that be beneficial, or would that even help our case, or would it be detrimental if we were to go to the Transportation Commission? I am 100% on board in going to the Transportation Commission. I will get you all of the public comment you need, as well as minutes from this meeting, and our we had kind of a town hall meeting there in Winston, and I'd like to get you those comments as well. I have some photographs. So I want to get you that whole packet, but I want to be sure that we're doing this properly so that we can, you know, do everything we can to get a yes from the Transportation Commission.
I would say if your end goal is to have that full-time, I would let it go to the Transportation Commission and let them rule on whether that's gonna be full-time or whether they take that into account and whether they say, if they agree with that or not. I would say I would go down that process rather than involving the special school zone speed limit.
Okay.
And then wanting to go, because they may look at that and say, looks like we're addressing the issue here. And not go for it. I would just let it go to the Transportation
Okay.
Commission
And
with
that-
what you want for your.
I wasn't sure which direction they would go. Okay, good to know. Thank you.
All right, any other comments?
I have one.
I'm gonna actually stick with the folks in Winston first, and then I'll hear from
Well,
others.
I have an issue
Yes.
that I am with.
John, we're gonna hear from the people who live in the Winston area first, and then we'll move to other comments. Yes, sir.
Hi. Yeah, this gentleman right here, Eugene Belgard, he walks across there all the time at that crossing. And he's no young chicken.
Thanks.
But there's more than just him that do this. And that really worries me that people are going 80 miles an hour past there. And here's somebody that's older that probably can't move as quickly or see as far as the normal person trying to get across that. It scares the heck out of me.
Yeah. I think there's no question there's a safety issue here, and I do think that we have the evidence that we can prove that. And I think if we can present a very strong, united group to the Transportation Commission, I can't imagine they wouldn't see this as well. Trudy?
Trudy Southwick, I just have a question for clarification. Is this the appeal process from the letter that you had received earlier that basically said they weren't going to lower it and that you, as the commission, had the right to appeal it through various processes?
That's
Right,
exactly
being what
right.
we're
Yeah.
going through?
Yes.
Okay, so the letter that you had originally gotten was not from this group, but from the commission?
No, it was from me to the commissioners, telling them we need to get all this stuff together for the commission meeting. So if you agree with the speed limit, send us concurrence. If you didn't agree with it, set up this meeting so we can talk to you folks, get your comments. You can get your comments into us, and this will all go to the Transportation
So that it's
Commission.
not an appeal?
Lee, do you
No,
have a
no.
copy of the letter? Because that's not the letter we received. And I didn't bring it with me.
I have a copy of April 18th, 2014.
Can I see that, Nicole?
The one we're talking about.
This, just
I
a
got
point of
one here from
clarification, this isn't an
2006.
appeal, this is part of the process.
Yeah.
So what we have sent to the county is the engineering study and the recommendation based on that engineering study from the department.
From the department, but not the commission, who has the authority to
Correct.
change it. So why are you guys recommending that this could not be done if the commission is the one that sets the?
We give the engineering recommendation, the Transportation Commission, by state law, needs to take into account the engineering study in their decision-making process.
I understand.
So we are making a recommendation based on engineering facts and our engineering study that we give forward a recommendation to the commission. Now it's up to the commission to decide what they're going to do for the final speed limit that's gonna be set.
So you have or have not submitted anything?
We have
to
not
the
submitted
commission?
anything to the
We have not
Transportation
submitted-
Commission.
no.
This is strictly from you guys?
This letter, yeah,
Yes.
I think this is the same one I sent to you guys on April 14th. And it was a copy of the letter with the speed zone study attached that, we need to get the comments or concurrence in. Right now, this is where we're going through is this comment period.
And I have a follow-up question if I may.
Just a minute, if you
Okay.
would, please. And I guess I'm gonna kind of piggyback off what Trudy said. From your perspective, this letter is probably clear as to your knowledge base. From our perspective, it isn't. What it is this is the result of the engineering study.
Conducted.
We are not going to recommend any changes. These are some other options you can look at. Please let us know if you agree or disagree.
What we're telling you.
Hang on, just a second. I guess what I would like for future commissions, for other counties, for us in the future is, this is the process. If you disagree with this, what you can do is compile these comments, compile an argument in your favor, and come to a transportation meeting, which you guys would precipitate scheduling on our behalf. That isn't here, and I think it would have helped our community a whole lot more if it were more clear in here. This letter, and it was read to the citizens in Winston, doesn't lay that out very clearly for those who don't already know the process. So that is my request. Yes, we are here on appeal.
Mhm.
That is our perspective. We are in the process of appealing your decision.
We're, as the letter says, we're here to get the comments.
Yeah, and
Before
we're
we
gonna
go
make
to the
sure you
commission.
have those
It's not an
today.
appeal because nothing has been acted on, nothing.
I
The
just
commission
wanna make
hasn't even
sure.
seen I don't even think the commission's seen the results of the study yet.
Okay, well, they will
They
in
will,
January.
yes,
I think
with,
that's
along
been
with
agreed
your
on.
comments
Mhm.
and the study. Like Danielle says, this is our engineering study, this is our engineering decision. Transportation Commission sometimes does, sometimes doesn't follow it at all. It's their call. We provide this by statutory.
And I understand
Right.
that now, and I thank you very much.
Mhm.
We are following the process set
Mhm.
forth by the
Mhm.
Transportation
Yes.
Commission at
Set by-
this point.
Set by state law.
And we're not letting you guys leave Broadwater County without a packet of information today.
Great.
So you can put that
Or
forward.
you can send it into us, if you wanna put it together by committee or something and get it into us, everybody, do it that way if you want to.
I think we have that now.
Okay.
I have some, and I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I have to
please.
speak out of turn, but I don't know if it would be beneficial to wait and give you a full packet, because I would like to include the minutes of this meeting, because there has been some testimony brought up today that wasn't brought up at the town hall meeting. So this would be the only piece of information you'd be getting separately. So I prefer to give you a whole packet, if it's all right with the
Yes.
commission, if I mail it to you. as
Just
soon as
send it
these
to me
minutes
and
are-
we'll get it in.
We
But
have it
like
on the
Danielle
record.
says, if we could, we'd like to get it on the January commission agenda. So if we can get it in fairly soon, within the next, I'm saying, what, 2-3 weeks? Maybe?
Well, for the January commission, we would have to have stuff, I would say the beginning of January, so if we receive it before December, it most definitely will be on.
Okay.
Okay,
Do
yeah.
it by then.
Yeah, and we'll get it on the agenda then, and we'll let you know when the meeting date is.
Yeah,
I
that'd
just
be great.
backtrack from when the meeting
And I
date is.
think
when
we
they
can
have to
probably,
put it on the agenda.
we can talk to the commission secretary and tell her there's gonna be some people in, so the commission's ready to talk to you guys too. So, okay, I don't wanna catch them flat-footed either.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
I think it's a letdown to the people in Winston. They thought things were progressing, and the way it is just starting over again is what it basically comes to.
No, we had to do the study. That had to have been done, and we did it. Now we gotta get the comments. We are required to request comments or concurrence, and that's what this is.
Well, we've had a lot of comments.
Well, yeah, and the letter went out in April, so we've had a lot of time to get them in.
We will also be getting pictures of the entrances into Winston, as well as the traffic studies. that do show that it is almost double in summer what it is in March, as far as traffic on that road. So,
I think Cassie had some pictures in that packet from the town hall meeting of her wreck.
yeah, do you have
I
those?
have those.
Yeah. I think Nicole has pretty much everything,
I
except for those
think-
last
I
few
think so,
pieces.
yeah, just the commission minutes from today would be the only thing that would be lacking in the whole packet. But
Okay.
I think I received everyone's public comment, and if I haven't, certainly just send it on to me. So would the commission prefer, or Mr. Alt, would you prefer that I give you information today and then send you follow-up information, or would you prefer one complete
I
packet?
just assume you
by
send the
next
whole
week?
thing in at one time to me. I'll get it into Danielle for the commission's agenda, and then we'll be good to go. And then, like I say, we'll get you guys a letter and tell you what the schedule is with the Transportation Commission.
So I will get
if
that
you wanna
packet to
show up,
you.
that's fine.
At the end of Monday, at the end of
Yeah.
the commission meeting next Monday, once those minutes are approved, I'll mail it, you should have it Wednesday.
Perfect. Do you know
So,
my address, do you have my address and
I
everything?
do.
Okay.
Yep.
Perfect.
So for all of you folks here, if you don't mind,
Please.
me speaking, if you have further comments, pictures, any information, just email it on to me, and I can include that in the packet if there's anything that's lacking.
This gentleman had a question?
Hang on, Trudy, I'm gonna let you go first, yes.
Oh, okay.
May I direct my
Yes.
question specifically? You two obviously have spent a lot of time in listening to comments and working on various communities that would like to have their speed limit lowered, from all across Montana and some very small towns that I've been through. In your opinion, what will it take for the community of Winston to get a lower speed limit?
You know, you're going through the process. I honestly can't tell you what the Transportation Commission will decide in this situation. That is totally up to them. How speed limits are set, and from the engineering study, we do take into account the roadside culture. In this area, it's very difficult because you have a few businesses that are right along the highway. The majority of the homes in the house are on the other side of the railroad tracks, so you don't have, like Townsend, you've got the community that's right up against the highway. Here, we don't see that. In a lot of communities that we have similar situations, the driving public, the traveling motorists are not they're not seeing something to say, something is different here, I need to slow down. The engineering study takes a look at the 85th percentile speed and the pace of the traffic that the majority of the traveling public is traveling at. At this location, as the study had indicated, the 85th percentile speeds are about 71, 73, and the pace of the traffic, look at that real quick. That's the 10-mile-an-hour zone that the majority of the people are traveling at. Was 65 to 75, and we're up in the 60% to 75% range, which indicates that most people are, the 85th percentile speed is the speed that 85% of the people are traveling at or below. How they look at the speed limits and setting realistic speed limits and how they can be enforced is that 15% of the people are gonna be driving, too fast, unrealistic. Those are the ones that they really want law enforcement to target. If we go in and we set an unrealistic speed limit or a speed limit too low, what's gonna happen is now we've made it so that 70% of the people are now traveling above that speed limit. So who does law enforcement target? Who do they pull over? So there is some things that play into that with setting realistic speed limits and how speed limits are set and how they're enforced. We have areas where, the speed limits are lower in some areas. Do we get compliance with those speed limits just because we have a posted speed limit and a sign there? Do we get compliance? When we have done and gone with after studies, and these are speed limits that are set below the engineering recommendation and what we would consider maybe unrealistic speed zones. We do have some of those around the state that have been set by the Transportation Commission that are lower than engineering recommendations. When we go in with the after studies, we don't see that reduction in speed. We still see the 85th percentile speeds, at the prior, what we were seeing before those signs went up. So our goal is, we want to set realistic speed limits that are going to be followed. We don't want to go out there and make lawbreakers out of the majority of the people and make it harder for law enforcement to decide who do they target, who do they pull over and give speed violations. One thing that was not in this report that we have changed since this report went out in March, based on additional data that we are now able to get, is some citation data to see how, in an area where we are looking at, in this case, speed limit reduction, we are taking a look at the citation data, where we have that information available to us now in a way that we can take a look at that. What we can do is we can get that together and get that down to you also, so you have that information also, because that will be going to the Transportation Commission. It's something that we were just able to get that around, to have that information available to us. So we will get that together and get that down to you, so you have that also, as you are putting your comments together.
That would be great.
So we take a look at, you know, and part of that is we can take a look at maybe some of the speed zones here on the north end of Townsend, where we have some of the special speed limits set on the north end of town. Are we, you know, taking a look at the citation data that we have there compared to the citation data that we have out here too, and being able to compare that along the corridor too.
Can we request that of you for certain areas, the citation data? Wheatland area is pretty similar to what we have at Winston. Businesses, you know, on either side of the highway, but really not a...
Not visible.
Well, they are visible, but there's not as many homes as close. They're a little bit further away.
From the highway.
That's 45. It seems to me that a comparison of citations in that area might help us as well. Can you provide that for us? So
No,
that we can determine that?
where's this area at?
Oh, I'm sorry, it's the certified designated place. It's called Wheatland. It's down at the interchange
Oh, okay.
at I-93 Forks,
Mhm.
Wheatland, Montana.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's fairly similar as far as its makeup, and that's at 45.
Mhm. You
The
know,
only
it's,
thing it doesn't have is a crosswalk across it.
yeah. Yeah, we could probably take a look at that and provide what we have for that area also.
Okay, since we're doing that, can we throw in Elliston as well? We'd like as much information to formulate our arguments as
You know,
possible.
as far as the citation data and how we compare that, I'd have to take a look at that. I don't know if it's really gonna give the information, you know, we kind of take a look at that. What type of citations is being displayed in there? We can take a look at that. Again, that is on US 12, it's on the other side of Helena, so we can take a look at it, and I don't think that's gonna be an issue, but I just caution that we make sure that we don't try and misuse the information, but that.
No, and I don't think that's what we're
Yeah,
asking of
yeah.
you either.
I just want us to be careful that, are we really doing a true comparison with what we have going on? Again, here in this area, yeah, we don't have a special speed limit, but to take a look at those areas where we do have special speed limits, are those getting enforced? That's the type of information that we would like to gather. How many citations are speed related, or are there other citations that are taking place? Are those areas being enforced? And that's one thing that the Transportation Commission has asked for, that citation data, because part of it is if they come in and they do set a speed limit lower than the engineering recommendation, they're going to want some trying to find the
Justification.
or
To-
not necessarily just, but they're going to want some assurance that that is going to be, based on other areas that they have set speed limits a little lower, that is going to be enforced. That just us going and putting up a sign is not going to bring the speeds down. It's going to have to be combined with the enforcement. And again, like the gentleman has said, that if you don't have that enforcement all the time, you're not going to get the speed compliance. It's going to have to, if they do go that way. We actually have a research study going on to help us try and determine if we do have speed limits set lower than the engineering recommendation, how much enforcement do we need to make sure that we get compliance with that speed limit? We are researching that right now. Those results aren't gonna be available for about a year or 2 years. But we are taking a look at that so that if this does happen, that we can say, okay, if the Transportation Commission decides to go forward and put in a lower speed limit, then they're gonna be looking to the local government saying, you need to provide this much enforcement. You need to enforce this if we're gonna do this.
So some good partners for us to bring in January would be Broadwater County Sheriff and Montana Highway Patrol and our representative and senator.
I think, as far as,
Sure.
I can probably speak from highway patrols, because we're dealing with another speed zone in a different county, that they will come in and enforce whatever the law is set at. They're not gonna come in and speak one way or the other based on what that should be. They will come in and be the enforcement. As far as them being on board, it's a matter of, are we gonna have the people there to enforce whatever it does get set? And that's gonna be how they're gonna contribute. They're not gonna take a stance one way or the other
No, and I
of what
don't
that
think
speed
we'd be
limit should
asking
be.
them to, certainly not.
I think you've got a very good crew right here as far
Yeah.
as representing your.
But
But
if
as
one
far
of the
as-
things that's a hang-up for the Transportation Commission is the enforcement question, and we have law enforcement, both county and state, that
Mhm.
says, yes, we will enforce this area, we will enforce the law, and if the law's at 45 or 55, we will do our job. I think that's all we'd be asking for.
Mhm, mhm.
If anyone wants to debate that, certainly open to that. Yes.
I'll keep it short this time, I promise. I don't understand this speed limit thing. Your enforcement of the speed limit. So the fact that we've enforced it and slowed people down, if they don't write enough tickets, then if there's not enough tickets wrote in the area, it doesn't constitute lowering the speed limit, even though we've saved lives. And I think you're gonna find most of the citations are wrote by people that have crashed in that area. You're gonna find a lot of them.
Yeah, no, that's not what Daniel was saying at all. It's what
Yeah, I
she's
mean, I
saying
understand.
basically is, if we put in a speed limit that's artificially low, and I don't know if 45 is that or not, I don't know. But if we put in an artificially induced speed limit that's too low, people are gonna totally disrespect it unless there's an officer sitting there 24/7, 360 to write tickets. So,
For a while.
and then, and also, some of the other problems you got on an artificially low speed limit like that is, now you set up a situation where you've got some pretty drastic speed differentials between 70 and 45. So people coming down there all of a sudden see 45, they gotta slow down quick or rear end someone. You got people more people that are gonna not pay attention to it, they're gonna pull off to pass, and you're gonna possibly end up creating sideswipe and head-on collisions. So these are some of the things we have to look at when we set speed limits. And if it's artificially low, these are other problems that can occur. You know, you solve one speeding problem, you get into another one. So every cause has an effect, and these are the things we try to look at with our engineering study. Now, like I say, I think you've got a very good crew here to go to the Transportation Commission, talk to those folks, tell them what the problems are specifically, tell them why you guys are so adamant about this, and I think that's your best recourse.
I think you're right, and I think a lot of us here already have this information, but it sounds to me what you guys are saying is, emotional arguments never carry a lot of weight. They do for us individually because we really care, and we care from here. But when you're trying to convince somebody who doesn't live here, who may live in Helena or Billings or Bozeman or wherever, what we need are substantive, factual, hard arguments against. I don't think anybody here thinks it's would be artificially low to lower the speed limit in Winston. So how do we make that argument to the commission, the Transportation Commission? We need substantive arguments, facts, not the emotional arguments as much, although that does add flavor and keeps people's attention. So what we need is data, facts. Yes, Cassie?
So, and I don't know if this would help at all, because we video the road 24/7. Would it help if they saw how the traffic was? And it's not just that there's a lot of traffic. What I see happen a lot is there's the turn lane to go off into Winston, and legally, you have to slow down. You don't get to go in the turn lane to pass people, but that happens on I can't even tell you. I go to work 3 times a day, pretty much, because I manage the bar. Every single day, someone passes me on that side. So I don't know if it helps to have video of that. It's crazy.
You know, I've never been to a transportation commission meeting, so I can't really tell you what is or isn't going to influence them. That's basically not Danielle and my area expertise. That's reserved for you folks to go in and talk to them on that. That's not, we do the engineering study, the hard data, everything else. We put together the best report we possibly can and turn it into them along with you folks' comments. So I've never been to a commission meeting. I don't know.
Yeah,
So
this
we
is,
find out if bringing video would be helpful so they can see what we're talking about.
I'll, because I have been to some of the Transportation Commission meetings, but they're gonna be you're gonna be very limited on the time that they're gonna be as far as the time that you're gonna be given to speak to this issue. That's just because of the time constraints that they're gonna have. They have a lot of stuff that they go through at these meetings, a lot of agenda items that they have to get through, so they will limit the time that you do have available. They will, in fact, hear comments and take those comments into consideration. Again, I'd like to hit on a little bit of driver behavior, and one of the things that we as a department and are dealing with from all across the state and from the safety of our roadways is driver behavior and how people are driving, and trying to change that culture of driving. This is not just on this speed zone topic, but just generally, and trying to change the culture of how people think when they are in their vehicles and driving, and trying to get them to having drivers really take that responsibility. This is an important task for them, the distracted driving that we deal with, and all the other issues that we deal with at the department. You know, you're saying people are going around. Now, if there's room on the roadway, that if you're turning left off the highway, they can pass you on the right if they have room to do that. There is a state law that allows for that. Again, this is striped as an area where more of a right turn lane, but again, does that become an enforcement that, okay, yeah, there's already laws out there that says you're not supposed to do this, but yet people are still doing that. Again, that becomes down to the enforcement of that. Again, that goes into the speed limit. Yeah, we can go and post signs, but if people aren't gonna change that and drive that, and that's not gonna be enforced, have we changed the safety out there? We think we may have, but without that enforcement and without getting that compliance with that, have we really changed things out there? So when we go through with what we do with speed zones or with any of our engineering studies, is are we gonna make sure that we get the compliance that we need out there to make, we truly wanna make things safer out there on the roadways. And that's our whole goal, is to make things as safe as possible, but not introduce things that are gonna be less safe either. So we do take a look at that, but again, if you wanna bring that, when we go put it on the Transportation Commission meeting agenda, I can make sure that Lori is in contact with you and how much time you are gonna have, and you guys can make that decision. I don't wanna say not bring the video, because I think you just need to be aware that you're gonna have an amount of time and how you wanna use that time to the best of your ability.
If you could do that, I
we will do
think,
that.
if we did have the opportunity, nothing speaks louder than pictures. And to have a video showing what people are doing because of the speeds and the situation out there. If they're receptive to seeing that, I think it's definitely a tool we wanna use. I mean, that goes right to substantive right there. Yes, sir.
Yeah, on that same note, a day or two after our last meeting, I only witnessed like about half of this. But I heard a horn blare outside, and I looked out, and some car or pickup, I can't remember which, went off towards the north into the turn lane for the other side and stopped. And I don't know what happened there. I mentioned it to you. Did you ever find it on there?
It wasn't really clear on there what, because it didn't look like.
Something weird
It
happened.
didn't look like much when I looked at it.
Oh,
Yeah, I don't know.
but just weird things like that. If that was something that she could have visually seen what was happening, would they be able to give tickets over that, or?
No,
Because that's not right.
that I don't know, and that certainly would be a question maybe to
That's
put
an
to law
enforcement
enforcement.
issue, yeah.
Right,
They
right.
would need to discuss that.
Yes,
Very quickly, we used to live in the Sheridan area. I used to have to go for parts a lot from Sheridan, Montana to Butte. And on that highway that goes by Silver Star, believe me, that's probably as good a comparison as you would get, except there's a lot less traffic, less community involvement there. There's not as many people. They have a 35, I think, speed limit, and that is enforced. When we go through there, I have never seen anybody hardly shoot through there.
The reason Silver Star is an analogy, which is almost 180 degrees different from you guys, is when you come out here, like Danielle explained, there's one building or so and that's it, and you're through here. There's nothing to talk about an urban area or a town or anything. Silver Star, you go right smack dab through the middle of town. There's houses built right up to each side, and that's what we're talking about, is the driver's perception of where they're at. And if they see houses closing in, curb and gutter, sidewalk, it tends to slow them down, to constrict them. And the speed study that we did down there showed that. That speed limit goes from 70 to 35 through Silver Star. And the speed data that we came up with at Silver Star basically showed that reduction. Because you're going into an urbanized area, there's houses next to the road, there's curb and gutter. Lloyd Harkins has got his museum right up next to the road, you know, all that equipment stuff in there. That's the difference between that and a place like Winston, where basically you got one building out here and the town's off where you can't see it. So it doesn't present an urban environment, it's a rural environment through there.
and I understand what you're saying, but there's 4 buildings if you count the kiosk. Big Bowl, the store, and the fire hall, and then now the kiosk, just on that one side, and a home, which I guess that is behind the bar.
Well, there's 2 homes there. Matt Neal lives back there.
Oh, that's right, yeah, yeah.
The driver's perception is they're not really seeing that they're coming into a bigger community that's gonna warrant that. We do have other areas where, yeah, you have, you know, similar situations as Winston, and you just don't see the speed reduction because the drivers aren't perceiving that there's a change in the roadway culture, the roadway environment for them to say, yes, I need to reduce my speed through this area. They're perceiving that as a totally rural environment compared to an urban environment. That's the driver's perception as they're going through.
So that's a big difference.
And that's how they're judging that.
Ellison's a good example, nothing's right up next to the highway.
That one's been in there as long as I can remember it,
I
Alice.
know, and there's the 45 there.
Cassie?
I think that's a good point. You don't know what's coming.
Right.
That's an excellent
Right.
point. So if you have, you know, you have your 45 or 55, whatever it may be, signs, and then you have something down the road saying that it's coming, at least they have some kind of warning. The point is, you don't know it's coming. That is the exact point. If you don't know what's coming, let's figure out a way to show people there is something coming up. Slow the hell down. Sorry.
Good point, yes, sir.
John Gilbert again. Just a quick comment. One thing that I have noticed over there is that we do have White Earth Campground there, and that is a tremendous hazard when you have somebody pulling out with a fifth wheel, trying to get up to the speed of 70 to 75 miles an hour. It's very dangerous. Guys are double teaming sometimes, but to pull out with a fifth wheel and try to get into the mainstream of traffic, and get up to 70 miles an hour. It's quite hazardous. Just wanted to bring it, and there is a lot of traffic, and a lot of people are going to White Earth Campground to camp and fish. So that's another
That's a-
hazard out there.
Good comment to take into
Thank you.
consideration too. You bet.
Thank you. Yes, Bob first and then John.
Bob Brastrup. You know, I occasionally drive an activity bus for the school district.